Good evening. Greetings. Hello. Hey, get this. Check this out. Fun fact. There's always art in the I haven't updated it for a little bit. I actually need to add some more stuff in there. I do like having all the art in the pre-show though. It's nice. Although I say all, but I have definitely forgotten a lot of stuff. But yeah, good evening. So, fun fact. So, those of you who were here on Tuesday will remember, I didn't have a working chat box. And for you guys, for some of you, you might be like, well, that's normal. You know, you never have a chat box. You never have a chat box. Yes, I do. You guys just can't see it. But it is, if I go... There's a chat box that has your words in it, and for some reason, it wasn't working on Tuesday. And so I have a theory, a game theory, but I have a theory of what was wrong, and I'm gonna have to avoid doing it next week. But yeah, hello hugs, hello pluvium, greetings, good evening, good afternoon, and yeah, you can be cringe. If you like. But yeah, so my theory is stream elements, which is what I use for OBS, for the YouTube streams. My theory is it can't handle me having more than one waiting room. It doesn't know what to do. It's like, but there's a chat box over here, and there's a chat box over here. Which is the chat box? I don't know which chat box it is. So my theory is either it goes to the first created use Streamlabs for my Twitch streams, yeah. I'm using OBS Studio right now. I use different softwares for different websites so that I don't get things mixed up. So yeah, my theories are, number one, I made the waiting room for this stream before I made the Okami stream. Or it just really can't handle having two waiting rooms at once. I am going to test out making the Okami waiting room first and seeing if that did it. And then we'll see, we'll find out. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to do it like one waiting room at a time. Poor little, yeah, Stream Elements, it's trying its best. Actually, no it's not. No, it's not. They recently flagged me for one of my links, and they were like, "Hey, we need some verification that you are who you say you are." And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, how annoying!" It's fine. The trials and tribulations of being a streamer are many, mostly dealing with software and Twitch. And YouTube. Software and websites. Can the real Purity Valentine please stand? Yeah, I'm trying. But they're like, yeah, we're not sure. We're not sure. We'll be able to tell, because I'll bonk the headers. Yeah, on my low ceiling. I will. Yeah, no, man, the new schedule, on top of the new schedule, along with getting 2 bot attacks this week, neither being like particularly like really bad and serious, just really been a kind of a week of, do you want to try going like a little bit more wrong? Because I'm really enjoying that. And by enjoying that, I'm going to scream. I saw someone returned recently. I've been curious if someone returned. I don't. Oh, I don't know if there's a. I don't know who, and I don't know if there's a connection. But I sure hope that no one's like specifically targeting me, because that's just. It's just annoying, really. No, I'm not sure. I haven't been as vigilant of things outside of stream, so I'm unsure of just my Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully it's just a series of coincidences that just decided to all coincide this week. So hopefully next week will go a lot smoother. I already have my schedule for next week all done. I can show you guys. You guys get an early preview for coming to my reading streams. VTuber schedule. It's nothing surprising since the game was redeemed. There we go. So I swapped around the Rimworld and the game and the sketchbook. So they're now the other way around, which I think is going to be better. The perfect uncanny valley of genuine emotion and irony. But yeah, there we go. There is the schedule for next week, because the Rimworld got redeemed. So I get to see if my little bit of practice I did off stream, a couple of attempts here and there, will make it so I can run a better colony. I think I will. I've learned a lot. I need to set up. I feel like some people are like so prepared to redeem games. Like literally, I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Wednesday. Someone mentioned, "Oh no, I can't redeem a game," and then literally today, it must have just come off cooldown. No, not today. The day before. Whatever. It was like one day when someone was like, "Oh, it's on cooldown, I can't do it," and the next day someone else redeemed it, and I was just like, man, you guys are fast. I was gonna save to force you to no, I'm gonna add Persona will be added. I see, the problem is Twitch streaming, although I feel like Tuesday's streaming was a lot busier than I expected it to be. But I want to like properly. I've never played a Persona game, so if I play Persona 3, I want to like really dedicate attention to it, and so I want to make that one of the YouTube stream games so that I can focus and read everything. And I'll never be able to collect enough channel points. For what? What are you saving for? Alright. I'm gonna give my usual spiel though for a game. Wait, what game do you want to redeem? Alright. So, normal spiel. We are reading Alice in Wonderland. This is the first week. So, as I read, I will not be responding to chat as I read. Once I reach the end of the chapter, or have been reading for a long time. Actually, I feel like the chapters are pretty long. Yeah, there's only like 12 chapters in the entire book. So yeah, once I've been reading for about 45 minutes or so, then I will catch up on everything that I missed in chat. And yeah, so feel free to talk as you wish. If I need to adjust my volume at any time, please do let me know, and I will fix it as best I can. Sorry, there are a couple of forwarded pages in my book. I'm unfolding them because that is a crime. Alright. But yes, so thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And so if you are working still, I hope that your work goes well. If you're just chilling at the end of the day, I hope that you can relax easily. If you're going to be getting some sleep, please do feel free. There shouldn't be any loud sounds that occur during the stream, so you won't be woken. And also, I can't raid, so I won't raid into anyone that's going to, I don't know, turn your computer into a strobe machine. So let me just pause and unpause that so it doesn't stop. And we'll begin. Well, it's been a while since I've read a really long book. It's a shame you guys can't see it because it has illustrations, but including a camera on this setup would be a little bit over the top. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies, when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be too late." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket and looked at it and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it. And burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel, and for some way, and then dipped down suddenly, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her and to wonder what was going to happen next. First she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well, and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labelled Orange Marmalade. But to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody, so she managed to put it back into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the centre of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. For, you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had no idea what latitude was, or longitude either, but thought they were nice grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downwards. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound at all like the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of this country is, you know. Please, Ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. You think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she'll think of me. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began talking again. Dina will miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dina was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dina, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, Do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't matter much which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dina, and saying to her very earnestly, Now, Dina, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly thump, thump, down she came upon a heap of dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up onto her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the White Rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say as it turned a corner, Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting. She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all round the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever to get out again. Suddenly she came across a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key, and Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But alas, Either the locks were too large, or the key was too small, but at any rate it would not open any of them. However, the second time around, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight it fit. Alice opened the door and found it led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. How she longed to get out of that dark hall, and wander about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could, if only I knew how to begin. For, you see, so many out-of-the-way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate a book on the rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not here before, said Alice, and round its neck a paper label, with the words, "Drink me," beautifully printed on it in large letters. It was all very well to say, "Drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "No, I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little histories about children who had got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts, and many other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds. And she had never forgotten that if you drink too much from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with you, sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice, it had in fact a sort of mixed flavour of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast, she very soon finished off. "What a curious feeling," said Alice. "I must be shutting up like a telescope." And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door with the lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this, for it might end, you know, said Alice, in my going out altogether, like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then. And she tried to fancy what the flame of the candle is like after it is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas for poor Alice! When she got to the door, she found that she had forgotten the little golden key. When she went back to the table for it, she found that she could not possibly reach it. She could see it quite plainly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up one of the table legs, but it was too slippery, and when she had tired herself out with trying, the poor thing sat down and cried. "Come, there's no use in crying like that," said Alice to herself rather sharply. "I advise you to leave off this minute." She generally gave herself very good advice, although she very seldom followed it, and sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes, and once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself, for this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in it a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice, "and if it makes me larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens." She ate a little bit and said anxiously to herself, "Which way? Which way?" holding her hand on top of her head to feel which way it was growing, and she was quite surprised that she remained the same size. To be sure, this generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing but out of the way things to happen, that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work, and very soon finished off the cake. Oh, the chapter ended there. That ended very abruptly. Okay. Well, hello, Sir Cute. Greetings. Maybe the writing is quite big in this. Hold on, let me grab one of my other books. Maybe this one? Let me compare the writing size. Okay, I don't think that was a good comparison, actually. Maybe I can get one of the Travelling Cat Chronicles. I think it's at the back of the cupboard, though. Is it this one? No. Oh, this is the short story. Oh goodness. Yeah, okay, I think Alice in Wonderland is actually a lot shorter than I thought, but it just the way that it's been formatted makes it seem like like any other decent sized book, really. I think I just ruined my bookshelf, but it's fine, I'll sort it out later. So yeah, there's that was the end of chapter 1. Oh, we can definitely continue. I wonder then if this book will not really take us much time at all. I have to say, the way of talking in this book, the way that Alice speaks to herself is it's quite fun. I realise that the way that it's written is just like a slightly more classical British style, but it's fun. It's fun to say things. I think the speech matches your voice. From now on, I'm reading nothing but classic British literature because I have the British voice for it. Heck your audiobooks read out by American celebrities. It's time for niche micro-celebrity. Purity Valentine. How curious. I might have to... So this is one book that I am going to be able to collect into one video the same way that I have the Travelling Cat Chronicles, because obviously since this book was published in like 18 something, the copyright is well out, so I can most likely get away with reading it. I'll take Purity's reading of Alice in Wonderland over the rocks any day. Yeah, it's I feel like some... I feel like it's just better if you get someone who, like, I would expect maybe a classic American story. Like, one of the ones that I had to do in school, of Mice and Men and To Kill a Mockingbird. I guess they would be best read in like an American accent, because they're set in America. But I guess a British classic is best done with a British accent. But then I wonder if that applies to... Well, I guess a lot of the places English isn't the first language. But I wonder if like any books written by people who went to go live in Australia, like whether there's any books from those early days that would be best read in like an Australian accent. I'm curious. The day I hear a British Atticus is the day. I've got no intention of reading To Kill a Mockingbird again. The books, there's only one book that I had to study in school that I'd be willing to read again. All of, like, those two books, Lord of the Flies, Romeo and Juliet. It's like, I have no interest in reading those again. But there was one, I can't remember what it was called, the Black Widow, they made a film about it. Oh gosh. Maybe, can I do key stage for English literature? Book list? Let's have a look. 19th century reading. Here we go. I don't know if it was 19th century. That might be actually too old. Why is this picture so small? Wuthering Heights? No. Where is a list I can read, please? Preferably. Oh, here we go. Great Expectation, no. Blood Brothers. Oh god, I remember reading Blood Brothers. Good grief. What was it? Was it AQA? Is that the one that I did? Oh god, this is giving me this is giving me like flashbacks to school. Like it's the exact things that we had to... Oh, here we go. AQA, OCR, what is it? I know that... The Woman in Black! That's it! The Woman in Black! I remember really enjoying it. I remember really enjoying the book when we read it in class. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that I ended up reading it 3 times. Because, obviously we had to read it in class, which was like, okay, you know, raise your hand if you want to read the next part. Read, you know, slowly. And I would just read ahead. And I would keep a finger, like, wherever the class was reading, in case the teacher was like, oh, Purity, you read the next bit. But I would read ahead every time. But yeah, a young solicitor travels to a remote village where he discovers that the vengeful ghost of a scorned woman is terrorizing the locals. But yeah, they made a horror film out of it. But the book, I really enjoyed the book. Oh, it's a shame. Obviously it was just a book in school, so I didn't have a copy. I wonder if I can find a cheap copy of The Woman in Black. I wonder if they still publish it. Although it was only written 40 years ago, so copyright is still on it. I like how this is things I'm considering. Ah yes, the copyright. You can IRL cam stream yourself breaking into your old school and stealing some of the copies. Yeah, I wonder if they'd still do the woman in black. No, it must be nice for them though. They have the film as well. I remember when we did Romeo and Juliet, and we ended up watching the one of the films for Romeo and Juliet. Was the film any good? I don't know. I've never seen it because I did my GCSE English literature in 2012, which is literally the year the film released in cinemas. So it wouldn't have been possible for a teacher to get a legitimate copy. So I never got to see it. But they probably show it now when they do it. It's got Daniel Radcliffe in, so I guess good for him. Good for him for escaping the typecast. I'm just gonna keep that in my save history so I can refer back to it. But yeah, I remember we watched the Romeo and Juliet film and everyone lost their minds because this was back when High School Musical was still freshly in people's minds, and the guy who plays Romeo looks like suspiciously like Zac Efron did back in 2010. So everyone's like, oh my god, but wait, this film is from like the 90s or 80s, it can't be him. And it wasn't him, but he just looks suspiciously like him. Purity is a reluctant Romeo in an indie VTuber production of Romeo and Juliet. Lapon is Juliet. From separate houses of we across fair Verona. True. No, you're good. I feel like the only way to read out a play would be it would have to be like multiple VTubers. I feel like there's a charm in screenplays that you can't quite capture by just one person reading, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna continue with Alice in Wonderland now that I've had my little realization. I'm gonna definitely try and find that book. I need to find that book. Because as much as I don't like horror games, because I don't like jump scares, you know what I do like very much? Horror literature. There we go. I found it. Get Havoc as McCoo. Oh my, that would actually be perfect. Daphne as Rosaline. Get everyone in on it. Oh no, that would actually be so fun to get everyone in Saoirse Lane to do. Okay, now I'm pining. Now I'm pining about thoughts. I'm having thoughts. I need to stop having thoughts. I need to read. I need to find a way to put a jump scare at the. They just, you know those books with the pop out, with the pop out pages where you open up the pages and it just like folds out. That's what they need. Boom, got me, got him. All right, let's continue reading before I get too distracted. So, once again, if you're going to be heading to bed, do have a very good night. Have a very good sleep. Chapter 2. The Pool of Tears. curiouser and curiouser," cried Alice. She was so much surprised that for a moment she quite forgot how to speak good English. "Now I'm opening out like the largest telescope that ever was. Goodbye, feet." For when she looked down at her feet, they seemed to be almost out of sight. They were getting so far off. "Oh, my poor little feet. I wonder who will put on your shoes and stockings for you now, dears. I'm sure I shan't be able. I shall be a great deal too far off to trouble myself about you. You must manage the best way you can. But I must be kind to them," thought Alice, "or perhaps they won't walk the way I want to go. Let me see. I'll give them a new pair of boots every Christmas." And she went on planning to herself how she would manage it. They must go by the carrier, she thought, and how funny it'll seem, sending presents to one's own feet, and how odd the directions will look. Alice's right foot, Esquire, hearthrug, near the fender, with Alice's love. No, dear, what nonsense I'm talking. Just then, her head struck against the roof of the hall. In fact, she was now more than 9 feet high, and she at once took up the little golden key and hurried off to the garden door. Poor Alice! It was as much as she could do, lying down on one side to look through into the garden with one eye, but to get through was more hopeless than ever. She sat down and began to cry again. "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," said Alice. "A great girl like you." She might well say this. "To go on crying in this way. Stop this moment, I tell you." But she went on all the same, shedding gallons of tears, until there was a large pool all round her, about 4 inches deep and reaching half down the hall. After a time she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes to see what was coming. It was the White Rabbit returning, splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came. "Oh, the Duchess, the Duchess! Oh, won't she be savage if I've kept her waiting?" Alice felt so desperate that she was ready to ask help of anyone, so when the rabbit came near her, she began in a low, timid voice, "If you please, sir." The rabbit started violently, dropped the white kid gloves and the fan, and scurried away into the darkness as hard as he could go. Alice took up the fan and gloves, and, as the hall was very hot, she kept fanning herself all the time she went on talking. "Dear, dear, how queer everything is today, and yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I've been changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, then the next question is, who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle." And she began thinking over all the children she knew, and that were of the same age as herself, to see if she could have been changed for any of them. "I'm sure I'm not Ada," she said, "for her hair goes in such long ringlets, and mine doesn't go in ringlets at all. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows very little. Besides, she is she, and I'm I, and, oh dear, how puzzling it all is. I'll try if I know all the things I used to know. Let me see. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 6 is 13, and 4 times 7 is... Oh dear, I shall never get to 20 at that rate. However, the multiplication table doesn't signify. Let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris, and Paris is the capital of Rome, and Rome... No, that's all wrong, I'm certain. I must have been changed for Mabel. I'll try and say, how doth the little... And she crossed her hands on her lap, as if she was saying lessons, began to repeat it, but her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale. How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spread his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with smiling jaws. I'm sure those are not the right words, said poor Alice, and her eyes filled with tears again as she went on. I must be Mabel after all, and I shall have to go and live in that poky little house, and have had next to no toys to play with, and oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use putting their heads down and saying, "Come up again, dear." I shall only look up and say, "Who am I then? Tell me that first, and then, if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here until I'm someone else." But, oh dear, cried Alice with a sudden burst of tears. I do wish they would put their heads down. I'm so very tired of being all alone here. As she said this, she looked down at her hands, and was surprised to see that she had put on one of the rabbit's little white kid gloves while she was talking. How can I have done that? She thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself by it, and found that, as nearly as she could guess, she was now about 2 feet high, and was going on shrinking rapidly. She soon found out that the cause of this was the fan she was holding, and she dropped it hastily, just in time to avoid shrinking away altogether. And that was a narrow escape, said Alice, a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence. And now for the garden! And she ran with all the speed back to the little door. But alas, the little door was shut again, and the little golden key was lying on the glass table as before. And things are worse than ever, thought the poor child, for I never was so small as this before, never. I declare it's too bad that it is. As she said these words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash, she was up to her chin in salt water. Her first idea was that she had somehow fallen into the sea, and in that case I can go back by railway, she said to herself. Alice had been to the seaside once in her life, and had come to the general conclusion that whenever you go on to the English coast, you find a number of bathing machines in the sea, some children digging in the sand with wooden spades, then a row of lodging houses, and behind them a railway station. However, she soon made out that she was in the pool of tears which she had wept when she was 9 feet high. I wish I hadn't cried so much, said Alice, as she swam about trying to find her way out. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a queer thing, to be sure. However, everything is queer today. Just then she heard something splashing about in the pool a little way off, and she swam nearer to make out what it was. At first she thought it might be a walrus or a hippopotamus, but then she realized how small she was now, and she soon made out that it was only a mouse that had slipped in like herself. Would it be of any use now, thought Alice, to speak to this mouse? Everything is so out of the way down here that I should think it very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm in trying. So she began. "Oh, Mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I am very tired of swimming about here, oh Mouse." Alice thought this must be the right way of speaking to a mouse. She had never done such a thing before, but she remembered having seen in her brother's Latin grammar, "A mouse of a mouse, to a mouse, oh mouse." The mouse looked at her rather inquisitively, and seemed to her to wink with one of its little eyes, but it said nothing. Perhaps it doesn't understand English, thought Alice. I dare say it's a French mouse, come over with William the Conqueror, for, with all her knowledge of history, Alice had no very clear notion how long ago anything had happened. So she began again. Où est ma chat? Which was the first sentence in her French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of the water and seemed to quiver all over with fright. "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feelings. "I quite forgot you didn't like cats." "Not like cats?" cried the mouse in a shrill, passionate voice. "Would you like cats if you were me?" "Well, perhaps not," said Alice in a soothing tone. "Don't be angry about it. And yet I wish I could show you our cat Dina. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She's such a dear, quiet thing," Alice went on, half to herself as she swam lazily about in the pool. "And she sits purring so nicely by the fire, licking her paws and washing her face. And she is such a nice soft thing to nurse. And she's such a capital one for catching mice." "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice again, for this time the mouse was bristling all over, and she felt certain it must really be offended. "We won't talk about her any more if you'd rather not." "We indeed," cried the mouse, who was trembling down to the end of its tail. "As if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again." "I won't indeed," said Alice, in a great hurry to change the subject of conversation. Are you fond of dogs?" The mouse did not answer, so Alice went on eagerly. "There is such a nice little dog near our house I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier, you know, with such long curly brown hair. It'll fetch things when you throw them, and it'll sit up and beg for its dinner, and all sorts of things. I can't remember half of them, and it belongs to a farmer, you know. He says it's so useful. It's worth £100. He says it kills all the rats and—" "Oh dear," cried Alice in a sorrowful tone. "I'm afraid I've offended it again." For the mouse was swimming away from her as hard as it could go, and making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So she called softly after it, "Mouse dear, do come back again, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either if you don't like them." When the mouse heard this, it turned round and swam slowly back to her, its face quite pale, with passion, Alice thought. It said in a low trembling voice, "Let us get to the shore, and then I'll tell you my history, and you'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs." It was a high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with the birds and animals that had fallen into it. There was a duck and a dodo, a lorry and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam to shore. Honestly, Alice, the first thing you do when going up to a mouse is talk about cats? Unbelievable. Terrible, terrible behaviour. I had to change to a sensible name for work stuff. Greetings. I can't see your name history though, so I don't. Do I just call you Jeff now? It always feels there's something a little strange about. There's name history? No. That's why I can't. Bob? Alright. I can work with Bob. But yeah, there's something very. I don't like YouTube for the fact that it's like, oh yes, give real name? Give real name. It's like, no. I remember. Hold on. Where's my old man Kane and the wrinkles on my face? I remember YouTube before it was owned by Google, and you could have the name Eno Sucks X254. Like And now Eno Sucks 254 is called like Freddy Fazbear, and it's like, what the hell? Can't use alias as a display. Yeah, it's not great. Also, hello. Oh god, I'm gonna have to different. So we got Bob and we got Bobbius. But yeah, hello. Up votes, down votes. We have. Oh god, yeah, I actually forgot about the star ratings. That was. Oh god, long. It's all so long ago. Back when I was an AMV maker. The YouTube viewer count is hilariously off. Oh yeah, YouTube is not very good at actually giving accurate view counts. I can't see it though, I don't know what it's saying. But yeah, everyone I can't remember what people used to say, like what you should do to the view count to like make it to work out like the accurate number. It's fine though. Because you know what actually matters? View time. It's actually interesting. I did a little bit of experimenting using my Twitch. I was like, oh, you know, YouTube partner requirements. What? How hard are the requirements? Actually, really easy, kind of. Easy for someone who's already established. If you're starting from the scratch, then probably super difficult. But on my Twitch, the view count that you need to get in a year on YouTube, I've had in about 3 months on Twitch. So I figure as long as I keep up my Okami streams, maybe I might get partner on Twitch this year. Not Twitch. No god, not on Twitch. That's not happening. Partner on YouTube this year. And that'd be cool, because then you guys can have emotes here. I don't know which emotes I'll move here, but also mustn't forget Puri has the new ear mics. That's true. And the thing is, YouTube you can have, you know how on Twitch a subscription costs like $5? On YouTube you can make a subscription cost like $1. Like you can make it a lot cheaper. You can have more tiers. You can have more stuff. I don't really know how YouTube works, but I'm kind of excited at the prospect. Also, super chat. More not those tiers. Member streams. I don't even do subscriber only streams on Twitch. I don't know what Puri returning to YouTube streaming like the VTuber ancestors. It's kind of interesting though, because I know so many people who started on YouTube and then moved to Twitch. It feels kind of weird to be so primarily a Twitch streamer and then like going, is this a stream or an advert? I don't know whether I'm advertising YouTube. There are definitely flaws to this website, don't get me wrong. This is a lot more complicated than Twitch. There's a lot more settings and things that I have to do on YouTube. But yeah, the community tab. I like the community tab. I haven't really used it. But I kind of wish that Twitch had, if Twitch had one, if Twitch had a community tab, and YouTube has the community tab, I could delete Twitter. Or at least just have Twitter for like DMs. just everything. Man, I hate Twitter. But yeah, no, basically, I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to be on YouTube. It's interesting. It's interesting here. Unfortunately, you guys, those of you who were here on Tuesday for the Okami stream when my chat wasn't working. Okay, I can't talk once I go on this stream, but look. That's a chat box. That was a working chat box. But I'm gonna do some theory. Ooh, your immersion. I'm sorry for your immersion. You can already do that since you have your Tumblr, right? I mean, I guess. I use Twitter to mindlessly scroll down though. And just use your about page for that stuff, edit each day, I guess. But yeah, there we go. Alice in Wonderland. We have begun. We've already read 2 chapters. And I don't even think there's that many chapters, to be honest. Let's have a look. Is there a contents page? Yes. Yeah, there's only 12 chapters. And we've already done 2 of them. So this might not take that long at all. Which is kind of wild. Do you have the set of books? I have Alice in Wonderland and I have Through the Looking Glass. Someone when I was a kid bought me a big set of classic books. Actually, I think it must have happened twice because I have 2 different sets of classic books. But I don't have all of them anymore. I had a look when I went to my dad's and I could only find a couple of books, so I must have gotten rid of them over the years when in my history of book having, there was a point where I had to downsize my bookshelf. I went from having quite a lot of books to having only, I think it might have only been 1 shelf. I had a little fun fact, the chimney also kind of went through my room in my childhood bedroom as well. For some reason I've always been competing with frickin' chimneys. But this one was actually in the wall, and what it did is it just left a kind of alcove where a boiler used to be, like a heater boiler, water heating boiler used to be, but that was ripped out, so that's where my desk ended up being, and it had a shelf above it, and that's all the space I had for my books. So I must have at some point downsized and gotten rid of a lot of books. I have a big box of books at my parents' place. I don't know if I'll ever go get it because it's on the other side. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, one day I would like enough space that I can go get all of my boxes of stuff from my dad's and go through it all super thoroughly and see how everything is, all my random anime merch and any books that I left behind, and just all of that kind of stuff. Because I never really, my dad doesn't get rid of stuff. My mum gets rid of stuff sometimes, but my dad never gets rid of stuff. My dad still has his lead Warhammer figures from the 80s. Or at least he thinks he does. We used to have some Eldar as TV ornaments on the side of the television cabinet. As my dad he just keeps everything. That's not just stuff though. Everything is stuff. I mean, when I'm talking about my stuff, I'm talking about stuff that's not just, I guess not, it's not just stuff, but it is stuff. You can put it all in a vault when you finally get your underground shelter. Stuff is old magazines, ripped t-shirts, odd socks. Is it? I've never kept those kind of things. I just remembered I have the Gorilla's Rise of the Ogre in the box. I hope they don't take it to Goodwill. Oh no. You might wanna... It's not just stuff, but it's all stuff. It isn't stuff. It's not stuff dismissive. It's all stuff objects. But it isn't all stuff derogatory. It's stuff. It's stuff that has a purpose, a history, a meaning. I was never actually, back when I was a kid, my family, not like my direct family, not like me, my mum and dad, but like other family members. I remember when they would always go on holiday and they'd bring me back like random ornaments from their travels. I never really liked them. I never really liked these random ornaments. I was never allowed to get rid of them because obviously they were a present, Purity. You can't get rid of a present. But I really wish people had bought me back like books and stuff, because I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff is very easy to tie memories to. Money? If they had money to spend on random decorative plates to give a 8-year-old, I think they could get a book. Like, even there's books that I don't even own anymore that I still have memories to me. When I went to Hastings for the first time, Hastings is a little seaside town on the southeast coast. It's got a lot of history. It's where the Battle of 1066 took place. William the Conqueror came to England and beat the Anglo-Saxons into submission. And when I first went to Hastings, there was this old bookstore. It was one of those really classic style bookstores, not like a Waterstones, it's not like a franchise. Just a dude running this bookstore, and the books, literally every shelf covered in books, and in the middle of the floor, instead of a table, it was just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of books. And I remember digging through, and there were some Goosebumps books. There were a couple of Goosebumps books, and I grabbed those, and I read them while I was on holiday. And I don't think I have them anymore, but I still remember it. So miserable, really? That's a shame. I really loved Hastings when I went. Hastings is somewhere that I've liked every time I've been. Where else have I been that's been... I mean, there's Skegness. I've been to Skegness so many times now that it's like... I almost know it nearly as well as my own city, but Skegness definitely doesn't have a very good reputation. It's very much like the cheapy holidays. Did you really love reading and not... Wait, do you mean reading as in the place, like Reading, or do you mean Hastings? Or do you mean reading the books? No, I remembered I loved Hastings, because I got other stuff as well. And I liked the beaches, even though a lot of the times we go to the beach and like the stuff was closed. And the one time we went to the beach because it was sunny, but it was like super windy, but we were so determined that we were going to go to the beach anyway because we hadn't been to the beach and we were going to be going home, because my holidays as a kid only lasted... For those of you who don't live in England, there's something called a Sun holiday, which is, there is a newspaper called The Sun. It's quite infamous. But what they do is you get tokens that you can collect, and then you get a really cheap holiday at a caravan park. You get there, you drive there on a Monday, you check in after 4 o'clock, and then you stay, and you gotta leave on Friday before 10 a.m. So you only have 3 like full days there, and then 2 kind of like itty bitty days. Those were always the kids. Those were always the holidays I went on as a kid. I never went anywhere like super fancy as a kid. But I liked those sun holidays. They were fun. And we went to a lot of different places. Like some places I can't remember, some places I can. But like Scarborough and Blackpool and like a bunch of different places. Get drunk every night. I mean, I went mostly as a kid, so there was no getting drunk for me. Maybe for my parents, who wanted me to not drag them onto the dance floor when they were like, "Kids, grab your parents with parent participation," and I'd be there like, "Yeah," and my parents would be like, "No, don't look at us. You're not related to us. No." And God, I have a lot of memories from those holidays. Like I remember one time they had a dancing competition, and they had a few medals that they gave out, and like I was like the first one they handed a medal to. And there was one girl on there who, she just started crying because she didn't get a medal, and so they ended up having to take a medal off one of the adults that won just to like sate her. But I was there like, yeah, they gave it to me just because I was good, just because I was talented and I have a lot of weird little memories like that from all over the place. And I was very good at at like all the like the party dances. So the cha-cha slide, very good at. The Macarena, very good at. The Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the pizza was I could do that perfectly. You know, I had the choreography all down. That is hard to imagine. The what? Do you not know the? I don't know what the name of the song is. Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried song. Fast food song. It is the fast food song by the Fast Food Rockers. When we'll get through to Puri dancing with the hand tracking stream. I don't know whether whenever I don't know when I'm ever gonna get some full body tracking. I really want it, but I don't know how to do it without VR, and I can't set up VR in my space, so it's just I know what you're talking about. It's just hard to imagine the. Oh no, when I was a kid, before I got into secondary school. So secondary school is when I got like, you know, bullied to crap, and I lost all my self-confidence, and I didn't want to be looked at anymore. But before the age of 12, before the age of 12, I was just fucking, I was just going for it. Can't believe a British person knows a fast food song I don't as an American. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. Oh god, the YMCA was another one I knew. Oh, and the Stack the Shelves one, little Big Fish, Little Fish cardboard box. Yeah. Oh, and the one song this will be funny actually. So this was before I was terminally online. Like obviously I've been on the internet since I was 6. But there was always one song that when they're like, come up to the DJ booth and request a song, there was always one song that I would request. And unfortunately, I couldn't say the name. I never knew the name, but they always knew what I was talking about. I'd be like, hey, can you play the one song, the foreign one, that one. And they'd be like, yeah, we know the one you mean. And if you don't know it from that attempt at the name, it is more popularly known as the Numa Numa dance, Numa Numa song. But I didn't even like it for internet meme reasons. I just liked it. So when I found out that it was an internet meme, I was like, ha! I knew that one first. Oh god, okay. Anyway. Wow! What is this? What is this happening? It's another YouTube stream where I'm going on a completely wild tangent. Alright, I need to wrap it up for the night. But yeah, oh god, and there was the Cheeky Girls song. And that was... oh god, there was so much. I used to know them all. All the words, apart from the Numa Numa song, because that was not in English. Apart from I'd try to sing along. I didn't know what I was saying, but I was doing my best. Is that Sudan stream? Let's be real. Every stream I do is a Zatsudan stream. It just varies how much, like, game there is in the background. I wonder if I could go on a sun holiday but take the laptop. I wonder how well I could stream. Because I have 5G internet across the UK. Which implies I can take you guys on a sun holiday. Ha! Zetsubo, no. No despair. No despair. We're not despairing. Also, hello, Fidel. Yeah, I mean, I finished reading. I'm now just going off on tangents. It's incredibly smug look for a second. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I can't remember, was it at the start of this week? Sometime this week, I did a little bit of changing of some rig settings. I've edited my rig settings a little bit so that I should move easier. I should, you know, be a little bit more mobile, but also my expressions. So I should look less angry all the time. Because people kept on talking about how, like, mad I looked all the time. And I'm just that, like, no, I'm just focused. And when I'm focused, I go like, brr. I don't want to look angry though, so I forced my eyebrows to be in a bit more of a relaxed position. Was chat trolling? I don't think they were trolling. I just think that my eyebrows are very... I think I'm just very prone to, like, having a stern expression. And there was a problem with my very first model too. When I debuted, no one could tell. I had no tone control, and I had no expression control. So, no one could tell when I was joking. No one could tell when I was serious. You just pray. You just had to pray. Roll the dice. Hope for the best. Vacation stress sunlight. You can go to places with less. Well, this is the UK. There's only so much sunlight. There's not that much sunlight. Yeah, it's not that sunny here. But yeah, there's some differences. So now I should be more wiggly. Because I had it set so basically like my full range of motion was materialized. I kind of like reached the limits of like how far I can like move a bit faster now, but it's fine. There's an entire coffee type called London Fog. We don't have that anymore. We don't. Well, fun fact. And then I'm gonna end the stream because I've accidentally full stop. If you ever go to London, don't wear black or white. Don't wear either of those colours. Because it will get ashy. Everything, by the end of the day, it will be washed out, grey, dusty. It's a gang. No, it's not a gang thing. You'll get stuck. No, if there is a gang for wearing black and white, I'm worried, because I don't wear colours. Is it that bad? I remember I had a pair of boots I was wearing that were pure black, and by the end of the day, you could run. You know how when you're in. You know how, like, when something's not been dusted for a long time, you can, like, drag your finger across it and leave, like, a dark line? Like, where you've, like, cleaned the dust? You could do that on my shoes on one day in London. A few hours in London. It's also noticeable. So if you go by car into London, which, by the way, I don't recommend, you go by car into London. You go to London, you spend the day in London, you get back in the car. You know, the doors have been open of the car, and you get back in. You close the doors, and let's say you don't open the window on the way back. You don't open it. So the air inside the car is London air. When you open the doors back anywhere else in the country, when you open the door back home, you are met with, like, it feels like you've stepped out into the middle of a grassy green field. Like, the air is so fresh compared to London air. And I still live, like, in a city. London is just that. Ugh. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still, like, no. The genuine dismay on London. Listen, I don't think London is worth going to. And I think the downsides of London overweigh the positives of London. That's my opinion. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, because I've been talking for a while. So, next stream is on Sunday. We're gonna be playing Dark Cloud for the very first time. Finally. London Rose. Yeah, sorry, you got combo broken. So I've already made my schedule for next week. I mentioned it on Wednesday, but I'm changing the day that I'm doing sketchbook stuff and the day that I'm doing the redeemed game, so that I have a bit more time to set up for my sketchbook drawing stuff. But there it is again for anyone who wants to see it in advance. It's worth going by London by train. Yeah, the museums are the best part of London. And the art galleries. The museums and the art galleries. I really like the art galleries. I've been to the Tate. Tate's pretty good. But yeah, there is a schedule for next week. So Rimworld is going to be on the Wednesday, and the sketchbook art is going to be on the Thursday. Really, I think we might end up finishing Spyro. The last time I played Spyro, I'm pretty sure we were literally going into the last world. So we actually might end up finishing it. But yeah, I have a lot of fun during the Spyro streams, so I'm glad. Is that a new sketch? No, this is an old one. This is a really old one. Wow. Yeah, no, actually, in the grand scheme of skeb arts I've had, this is quite an old one. Although, I think Daphne commissioned this artist as well, quite recently. Their art style has changed a lot. But yeah, no. I'm now that it's 2023, I'm using art that I used in my 2022 schedules again. New year, same art. Anyway. Hop. There we go. Alright. I will hopefully see you guys on Sunday. But until then, please do take care, get something to eat, get something to drink, get some rest. If you're already asleep, continue sleeping well. Please stay asleep. Thank you. And I will do my best. So please do the same. Have a very good night. Onyasumi. Good night.